listening to the Patriot Nation podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation podcast, of course, brought to you by Prize Picks and Game Time. It's your man, Pat Lane, here with my guy, Matt St. Jean. And Matt, the Patriots are 1-0. We've already talked about that. And they're playing against the 1-0 Seahawks at home this time, the home opener this Sunday. I will, of course, be in the building. Very excited about it. It's another year of Patriots football in Foxborough.
Yeah, it's hopefully a year that is better for the Foxborough faithful than last year. Obviously, the team had all kinds of woes last year, but a lot of that came at home.
Yeah.
How many? Well, they won 4 games. So was it just the Bills won at home?
I'm trying to think of which other games I don't know, man.
Steelers, Jets.
Yeah, the Steelers game I was at. They won that game.
Yeah.
It was in Pittsburgh, though. Steelers, Jets, Bills, and there was one other one they won, obviously. Can't remember.
Look at us starting.
I don't think it was
hot tonight.
I don't think it was at home. I'll tell you that my only memory from last year, other than the Bills win, which is pretty cool, it was that Chargers game, 6-0 in the rain, just the absolute worst. Even if they had one other game at home, I think that eliminates the win.
It was in Denver. I can't.
The Christmas Eve miracle. That's right, Chad Ryland. How could we forget?
Yeah, and not only did they only win one singular home game the entire season, they got shut out twice at home.
Yep.
So, I think the bar here for success is pretty low.
I would say so. Also, that horrendous Colts game was technically a home game, even though it was played in Germany. Technically, it was a home game. So, another disaster.
Not in front of the Foxborough faithful.
You're right about that. But another disastrous home performance, technically, quote unquote home performance. It was last year was ugly. And this year the Seahawks are a good team. This year might be a difficult year too, but honestly, it's I'm excited about a new year. I was excited about it before this, before we won, of course, on Sunday. Mm-hmm. But now that we're 1-0 and won on Sunday, and you see all the things happening, and you hear all the stuff in the locker room, and you see the guys and the way they act, I'm even more excited than I was. And I feel like it's difficult to not be excited about this team, which we know is going to come back to bite us because they're just not that good. They're not. And that's okay. But everyone's super amped about it, which is part of why I'm very nervous that they're going to lay an egg against Seattle on Sunday.
Yeah. But you talk about, the stuff after week 1, some of the stuff we hadn't necessarily seen, the Jabril Peppers getting hyped up in the tunnel, and just the attitude he was showing after the win. The team put out the mic'd up video with Ramondre Stevenson today, which was a lot of fun. We haven't gotten that in a while. I may have missed it. They posted a clip that looked like Gerard Mayo breaking down plays. I don't know if that's a video that has gone up fully yet. Maybe I missed it in the feed, but I haven't seen it. But it seems like they're at least hinting that Gerard Mayo is he's replacing Belichick, and they're doing the Belichick breakdown type thing.
Seemed like it. Sure seemed like it, didn't it?
Yeah, which I'm very glad they're keeping because, I just, as a young football fan, as a kid, that's how I got into the sport. On the championship DVDs, they include, on the 3 Games to Glory, they included the Belichick breakdowns in that. And they included it during the game. So at any point during 3 Games to Glory, if a play came up that Belichick broke down, you could just hit a button and it would take you to his breakdown of the play. and you can
Yeah.
watch what he said about it. Like
It's
as a
so
young
cool.
fan, that was so cool to learn about football strategy. Me, 6 years old, learning what a 3-4 defense is and what the 2-5 defense they're running against the Eagles in Super Bowl 39. And I'm 6 years old. I don't know what's going on, but this seems cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if we can continue that forward for another generation, that'd be awesome.
Well, absolutely. And it's that's what we want, right? We want that content. We want them talking about that because these guys are knowledgeable. And even the guys that, that aren't the best coaches, they're still knowledgeable. It's not like they don't know what they're talking about. They still know what they're talking about, right? They're still smart guys, have been in the league. Mayo has played in the league. He's been a coach for a while. Like he knows what he's talking about when he's breaking down film. And so it is important, I think, to kind of get, like you said, get that information out there. And then for people that really want to run with it, they can. Some people are like, oh, it's cool to see, here and there and stuff, and don't go that much deeper into it. But, for the people that do, it's that avenue that allows you to get there, right? And I think that's important,
So I looked it up on the site because I had only seen this briefly during the week. It looks like the video they put up is actually Scott Peters.
Interesting.
It's titled Patriots offensive line coach Scott Peters on Caden Wallace, Michael Onwenu, and Layden Robinson player spotlights. Maybe this is the new thing they're doing this year. I'm not sure. Maybe there's going to be a Gerard Mayo. I thought the clip I saw had Gerard Mayo in it. So maybe there's another.
There was definitely a Gerard Mayo clip for sure talking about the Joe Cardona fumble. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
I watched that.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm not sure
so
if that was in a different video or
so if
what.
we're doing more film breakdowns from the coaches for the public,
Sounds
that's
great
awesome.
to me. Sounds great to me. So,
yeah.
Layden Robinson, I was really impressed with Layden Robinson. He did that quick little one-on-one with Taylor in the locker room. Just impressed with his work ethic and what he's talking about and the way, of course, I mean, who knows? It can be coach speak and stuff, but the way that he is approaching playing, and, he played well on Sunday, but he's not satisfied with it. He's not comfortable with it. He's, wanting more. And those are the types of things that you like to see. Just that attitude that the players seem to be bringing to it, right? And the fact that Gerard Mayo is bringing that same attitude to it, I think is important,
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's hugely important just to get, I think I said this on the post-game show, it's important to get this win as just a proof of concept for players.
Yep.
Be able to say, hey, all of the stuff we've been doing, look, it works.
100%.
That helps in your game plan in this week.
Also, speaking of Gerard Mayo, I have an apology to make. I have to apologize to Pat's Nation, to the listeners, and my Twitter followers. I sincerely apologize, and I will do better. I promise. On Sunday, Gerard Mayo, I think it was Sunday, either Sunday or Saturday night, it was released that Gerard Mayo had been taking cold showers, and the players were impressed with his cold showers, saying, he's doing the tough things that other people don't do, right? And so, he basically just said, like, hey, look, I'm doing this because, it's hard and it's not easy, and so on and so forth. It was from Mike Reese's quick thoughts and quick notes around. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I quote tweeted that. I quote tweeted Mike Reese and said, if the Patriots win today, I will take nothing but cold showers until their next loss. And I completely forgot. Just like not even intentionally. I just completely forgot. The day was crazy. They won. I was like, oh my God, this is great. And I was getting out of the shower today. And I don't know what made me think of it. I wasn't rushing to get to work. It's because I had a golf tournament today. And I was getting out of the shower today. And I don't know. I was thinking about Mayo. For whatever reason, that popped into my head, the Mayo quote. And I was like, yeah, what a savage. And then I was like, oh my God. I'm like, did I say that out loud? And then I sourced my Twitter. I'm like, oh, sure enough, I absolutely did. And so I can't make up the last few days. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't go back in time and take cold showers on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. However, I will Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday be taking cold showers. I promise you. That is my promise to you. And if the Patriots win on Sunday again, I will take cold showers all week next week. And if they win the week after that, I'll take cold showers the next week. Until they lose, I will be taking a cold shower every day. That is my promise to you. I apologize, Pat's Nation. It won't happen again. And I will say, someone said they were going to bookmark it and then didn't, or maybe they did, but they didn't respond to me. Like, what the heck, dude? Like, you were supposed to call me out on that and be like,
Pat,
let's go, let's do the cold showers. You know what I mean?
Pat needs to be held accountable. So
that's what I'm saying. Right?
Step up.
So some accountability. We'll see how it goes. It's gonna be terrible. I can already tell you it's gonna be terrible, but I'm gonna get through it.
I will say sometimes a cold shower is nice.
Yeah, maybe, but
maybe not every day, but right. Occasionally.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be. I'm already dreading it, but you never know. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll turn my life around. Kickstart the good old metabolism, lose some weight in the process. You never know. So, but anyways.
Do we want to talk about, more takeaways from the game this past Sunday?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I after going through the film, it's tough to kind of. It was a weird game to rewatch because, like, the Patriots definitely got lucky in some ways. You give up a touchdown catch, it gets overturned. The next play probably should have also been a touchdown for the Bengals, and it's a catch. Kind of poor execution of technique from, I think, Marco Wilson on that kind of leads to tight end getting open. And not only should that have been a touchdown that gets saved by Kyle Duggar, but also Marcus Jones coming through saved it being a touchdown too, because the Bengals almost definitely would have jumped on that in the end zone. I'm pretty sure within the 1 yard line. You get lucky there. You get the fumble on the punt. You got Jacoby just throwing up a ball. And getting lucky with Hunter Henry, knocking it away. And, watching the game, the offensive line felt strong, run blocking. It didn't feel quite as strong on the rewatch. I don't think they were bad. I don't think they were great. I think they generally were fine. And Ramondre did a lot of really, really, really good work. So how that translates, to future weeks, I don't know.
Right. Well, what Ramondre had 120 yards rushing and 119 yards after contact. So
he was incredible. And part of that, I do think that stat is a little bit misleading because the play the Patriots kept running all game long was they get into these big formations where they're going to overload one side with an extra tackle and 2 tight ends, and then have no receiver over there. So the only defender on that side is going to be a cornerback who's because the Bengals are in their zone coverage or whatever. And they're just running inside zone and sealing, and they're setting up one-on-ones between Ramondre Stevenson with a corner, which is he's running through contact. It's a 200-something pound back running through a 180-pound corner. You expect that. This is a matchup you've intentionally set up and are winning. So
right. You're right about that,
yeah. I didn't think that was as bad for the offensive line, but it was. They were good. I was happy with it. Room for improvement.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think
about the defense too. Let's stay with the offense for now.
I just think sometimes when plays like that happen, right? When you talk about the Mike Gesicki play and you talk about the other tight end, who fumbles on the goal line, sometimes that is a product of coaching, and it's a product of, hey, we need to do things the right way. And not all, of course, because there is some fumble luck, right? There is some element of luck there, but I do think taking care of those small details and paying attention to those small details, that's a coaching thing, right? That is a coaching thing. And so, I do think that that's important. But again, you can't expect to get those things every week, right? But fumble luck is fickle. You know what I mean? Joe Burrow fumbles on the first drive of the game, he recovers it himself, right? There's no one there to jump on it. But then the tight end fumbles at the goal line and Marcus Jones scoops it up. And Joe Cardona forces a fumble on the punt. And, what's his name? Jesus Christ. Jalen Hawkins just happens to be trailing, jumps on the ball, right? So it's one of those things where it's it just worked out, right? If Hawkins doesn't see it or isn't trailing in that situation, there's a Bengals guy right there that's going to fall on that ball, right? And so sometimes, of course, it's Johnny on the spot. Hey, you're in the right position. Nice job. Sometimes it's just pure luck that you're there, and that's okay too, right? But there is an element of that. It's just not sustainable all year long. But being in the right position and making the right plays. By the way, I don't know if Marco Wilson had maybe he did have bad technique on that. It seemed as though Duggar got not interfered with, but they clearly ran a rub. And so maybe that's what you're talking about, that Marco Wilson got in his way.
Well, and you can see Duggar makes an adjustment when the Bengals go into that motion, and he's motioning for Marco Wilson to go forward. And I think what he was anticipating is that Marco Wilson was going to jam or give some kind of enough contact, so that there was less of a rub, so that Duggar can get over on the tight end faster and he can take a straighter path. I think that's what was going on there. That's my guess.
Yeah,
because it's just a really tough position to be in for a safety trying to get over the top of something like that. Otherwise, like you're not gonna do that without help from the corner.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And I think with the fumble luck, like one of the things, the Patriots got fumble luck. The 4 fumbles, they recovered 3 of them. They haven't won these games in the past, even when they get the fumble luck.
Sure.
Being able to actually capitalize on that is a good thing. I'm happy they made winning plays, high leverage plays. It's just, every game is a new game. You don't just get to carry the success over with you. You got to find new ways to win, especially because opposing teams are going to look at the film. One takeaway, I know everybody has been on this all week, and I was seeing the exact same stuff. Patriots' best receiver in week 1 was Jalen Polk. He was open a ton, and I thought Jacoby Brissett was kind of locking in on KJ Osborne and Austin Hooper in the passing game. Felt like he was looking for 2 steady guys, veterans that he's played with or that he knows or something like that. And I would hope that after this week, they look at the film and say, hey, we're going to have Jalen Polk be the first read a lot more often. We're going to have Pop Douglas be the first read a lot more often. Both of those guys had a number of reps where they were open, and the quarterback's just not getting to him in the read. And there was one play from Brissett that kind of shocked me. It was one where Polk was open, but it was also a play action. It was right before, I believe, their second field goal after the Cardona forced fumble. They ran a play action. They ran play action with Austin Hooper on the left side of the formation, running like not really seems an over route or a special just over the middle to get behind that linebacker. And this is the same one. They also had Polk running a vertical and on the outside, on the right side, and Polk gets open and beats his defender. But also, it's play action with a tight end over the middle. The tight end's going to be the first read. And Hooper gets open, but Brissett just comes off of it really fast and just dumps it off to Ramondre, who gets hit pretty hard on the play and tackled, and you settle for the field goal. And, I'd like to see – I get why you might not trust a rookie in that situation, especially with a play that's not designed for him. I do wonder why he's coming off of, the tight end route over the middle on play action quickly. So definitely, room for improvement from Brissett.
I think, and we'll see, but I just think that, that's going to come with, I think Brissett's a fine quarterback. He's fine, but he's not great. And part of the issue is that he's not a gunslinger. He's not a guy that's going to just chuck the ball around. He's just not going to do that. Now, again, we'll see. Also, TD's saying that he was looking too much on Thornton's way. Like, that seems kind of silly to me. He threw 2 passes to Tyquan Thornton all game. It's not as though he was throwing Tyquan Thornton way a ton.
He wasn't.
Right?
He was looking at KJ Osborne.
Right.
And I'm not surprised by. He was kind of the top available receiver for most of the stuff in camp. They clearly used him as, here's a veteran receiver who knows this type of offense that we can just plug in and he'll be able to execute it, and he can just be with the top group, so we have consistency there.
Yeah, 100%. And Burley mentioned it, and I agree. He's a quality backup QB. And I would even go a little further and say that he's a good spot starting QB. He's not a guy you want to be your starter all year long. He just isn't, right? This is not the guy that you want.
At least not on a good team.
No, right. And if you can win games the way they won on Sunday, great. He can do that. And he's a fiery guy, and he's a great leader, and he bust his ass for you, which is great. All those things are awesome. And I love like I think he's the perfect guy to be in front of Drake May. We've mentioned this multiple times that he's the perfect guy to kind of be in this situation. But as far as like winning plays and things like that, it's just not, you're not going to win with your passing game with Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. He's just not going to. And I don't think anyone should be expecting that. I do think, right, that you can look at the film from this week and we can make a concerted effort to say, let's get Jalen Pope the ball. Let's get Pop Douglas the ball a little bit. Let's look his way a little bit more. Let's make him the number one target on this play, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of go from there. And TJ, by the way, mentioned that he picked up a bunch of third downs. He did. He did a great job of doing that. He got out of the pocket. He scrambled. He picked up some, made some big plays with his legs too, which is something that was nice to see. But again, just as far as like a quarterback is concerned, he's just not the guy that, is going to win with the passing game. He's just not going to. And that's okay.
No.
Right?
He'll have his games.
Yeah,
and
right.
But he's going to be up and down. It's funny you mentioned the scrambles. Brissett was incredibly valuable on QB scrambles. He did a fantastic job there. This was a trend in the NFL this week. I don't know if anybody saw the thread on Twitter, but this week one, so I'll explain some of the terms here. Expected points added. This is one of the metrics that kind of gets used to explain how valuable plays are in the NFL. So what expected points added does is from, let's say first down to second down. It looks at how many points you are expected to score on the drive on first down. And then after that play, once you start second down, how many points you'd be expected to score based on that situation using a lot of historical data. And then, you do a little math there and you find out, did you gain expected points? Did you lose them based on your situation? And usually when you look at this stuff, passing is very good and running is not. Even very good running backs will have negative expected points added on the day because every time you run the ball, it's a time you could have been passing.
Right.
And it's, a good run is 6 yards sometimes, and that happens all the time passing the ball. But beyond that, this week so far is one of the first times that we have seen more expected points generated from running the ball than from passing the ball in the NFL. It's been trending that way for a while.
Yeah.
But that happened. There was like no increase in how many expected points were added from traditional runs. Basically, all of it is from quarterbacks scrambling more often, and there were a ton of big plays with quarterbacks scrambling this week. So we watched Brissett do that. I do wonder if this is, we have a lot of defenses that are getting into these soft zone coverages and playing a lot of, prevent defense, trying to stop all the big plays, softening up underneath. I wonder if that's it. But you look ahead to next week's opponent, watching the Broncos-Seahawks game. Geno Smith had a 34-yard scramble for a touchdown for the Seahawks. And the only touchdown the Broncos scored was a Bo Nix scramble. Yeah. Like that's what it was last week. I don't know if that's going to be something that continues, but big week last week for quarterback scrambles. Right. Maybe that's something, that's a good thing Brissett brings to the table. Something Drake May brings to the table as well.
Yeah, 100%. And that's certainly an interesting way to look at it. And of course, you have guys that are coming into the league now as more of running quarterbacks. Of course, you have Lamar Jackson, but then you throw in Jaden Daniels into that mix, and you have those guys throughout the league. And so, we'll see. And I think that's him having that. Of course, as you said, Drake May has that same kind of ability, but him having that is a boost to the offense because it allows them to things break down. I can go. Now, Mac Jones could take off, but he wasn't going anywhere, right?
That's a very, very generous use of the phrase take off.
Yeah, right. The funny thing about Mac Jones is that he had the same 40 time as Patrick Mahomes. He does not have the same athleticism that Patrick Mahomes has. Forget about the arm talent. He does not have the same athleticism that Patrick Mahomes has. There's just guys that are athletic. And sometimes they're not super fast on the track, but you get them on the football field and they're fast. And Mahomes is one of those guys,
I think a lot of it's knowing how to use it too.
Right.
One of the things that you really see with Drake May as a runner is that he played basketball, and the way that he kind of quickly diagnoses, hey, I'm just going to run here, and then is very aware of the space around him. Like, it is very reminiscent to me of like a point guard reading a defense, realizing he has a one-on-one opportunity and just trying to like take the ball to the basket. Like it's that kind of attitude when he decides to run. And that awareness for space, which, you talk about mobile quarterbacks in the NFL. I think you got a lot of guys who are just athletes at quarterback that you didn't have 20 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're more athletic. Like it's less so, I think, that they're like specifically running, and more so that they just have more options when the pass isn't there. And a lot of guys who are multi-sport athletes too, so they pick up some of those other skills.
Yeah, and I think too, like the rules are set up in such a way that it's so much easier for the offense to score points, and so you have to worry so much about the deep ball and the passes and things and it wasn't as big. Obviously, it was still a thing. It wasn't as big of a problem 25 years ago because you could jam the guys to the line and you could hold them off the line and you could bump downfield and you could do all those different things. There was a lot more leniency on how you could play defense. Now you're kind of, you're always worried about how do we get here? How do we do this? How do we get there? And, it just takes a little bit away. So, of course, you kind of combine all of that stuff together, right? All the points that you made combined with those new rules and the new way they have to play defense. And, you get a situation where guys can run, and again, like Cordell Stewart's a perfect example, right? Cordell Stewart, everyone called him Slash, fast guy, great arm, awesome. Not super accurate with the arm. Not a great reader of the defense. Michael Vick, incredible athlete. One of the best athletes you'll ever see. An insane arm. It's an unbelievable arm. Right? But wasn't always very accurate. Wasn't the best reader of defense. You know what I mean?
Took him a long time to finally get there. Yeah.
Right. And so, but now these guys are learning how to play quarterback, and they're also super fast and athletic. So they can do both things, and I think that just, it just makes it so that you're trying to build that mold of a quarterback, and the mold of the quarterback that you want to build is now that athletic guy instead of that Drew Bledsoe 6'6" statue, looks like a Greek god but can't move. You know what I mean? That's not the guy anymore.
Yeah. I have a theory here that one of the other reasons we're seeing more of this is because of the style of defense, specifically the types of coverages. So anybody who's played Madden for a long time, the two main coverages. You got man and zone. Anybody who's played any kind of sport knows that those are the two types of coverage. You play man or you play zone. If you play man, when you're a defensive player, you're not looking at the quarterback. You're looking at who you're covering, which means that the quarterback takes off and runs. Nobody knows. Somebody's got to call that out. You got to turn around and find out what's going on and all that. You play the zone. This is something the Patriots would always do against mobile quarterbacks. You're going to an area on the field, and then you're watching the quarterback. You're trying to get a feel for where the receivers are and playing it that way. Over the last decade, over the last 5 years, there's a third type, which is the match coverage, which is now in Madden, which is basically something that starts as zone and then becomes man. So it's almost like one big logic problem. If you actually look at the way it's written out for defenders, it's a whole bunch of if-then statements. It's you're gonna go to this area, and if this happens, you cover this guy. But if this happens, you cover this guy. And if this happens, you cover this guy. And because it's zone that turns into man, it's incredibly effective against deep shots. But also, I think because it turns into man coverage, eventually people's backs are turned and quarterbacks do have more room to run. So you have this, it's a combination thing of there's no deep shots. So you have to find some way to move the ball, and defenders turn their backs. And also, there's a lot of pressure on quarterbacks these days. I think you put all three of those together, and of course, you're going to see more quarterback scrambles.
Yeah. I know, it's interesting. And so that's, they're moving. The trend is going in that direction, and the Patriots finally have a guy that can do that. It's nice. Yeah. It's nice. They have two. And they're really three if you want to count Joe Milton.
Joe Milton, yeah. And maybe maybe after all this talk, we're full of crap, and it was a 1 week thing, and it's going to go
Right.
back exactly
Right.
to
Yeah.
the way it's always been. But being able to run is always good. We want to talk about the New England defense.
Yeah, let's do that quickly.
Yeah.
Defensively, they were fantastic. I thought they were fantastic. The way they pressured, the way they got pressure up front. Keon White was an absolute bully, and the secondary played the play by John Jones on fourth down against Iosivas. I don't know what his name is. The kid from Princeton.
Yoshivas.
Yoshivas. What a name.
Yeah,
What a name that is, dude. But
Amazing.
it sounds right because I think the I is the J, right? Is it not? That's usually how it is.
The Y.
In some of those languages.
It's like a Y sound, like Yoshivas.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So Yoshivas. That's fourth down. He's a big kid. He's like 6 feet, 6'1", and John Jones is small. And he caught that ball, and he's got a head of steam. And John Jones just comes in and just lays him down and rips him down short of the goal, short of the line to gain. It was a phenomenal play, and frankly, a play that you don't expect from a guy that size. Marcus Jones, I thought, set the tone early with that nice hit on the tight end that was coming across the field. Another one of the tight ends. I don't know if it was the tight end that fumbled down. I don't know who it was, but
they got like 3 guys.
They got a bunch of tight ends, and they didn't play Eric All, which what the hell, whatever. But nevertheless, but it's one of those things for me where it's like the secondary played so well. They were willing in run coverage. They were willing to come up and make plays in the passing game, and Christian Gonzalez was an absolute stud. PFF will tell you he wasn't. He was an absolute stud. It's so funny. I tweeted this out. Like I don't understand PFF because sometimes their grades feel like they're spot on. And then sometimes their grades are like, what are you even looking at? Like Christian Gonzalez was like ranked like 700 or like 400th out of all DBs that were ranked last weekend. It just makes absolutely no sense.
I will say I was relative to the stat line he allowed. I was a little bit underwhelmed by Gonzalez on tape, but that was like, there were a couple of big plays that he could have given up that Burrow just didn't see, which I think a lot, he was feeling pressure that wasn't there. He looked like a rookie quarterback at times, the way he was reading things out. He was panicking. So I think at points, Gonzalez did get a little bit lucky. I don't see anything to justify that low of a grade from PFF.
Right.
I didn't think it wasn't like an elite corner performance. It was a very good corner performance. And enough of a blanketing him that I understand why you're not looking at him on every play. And this is something I've seen from New England defenses for a long time, is that a lot of the time the secondary does leave somebody open, but they confuse quarterbacks enough, they pressure quarterbacks enough that it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Like there was a play where Marcus Jones just completely stumbled and like fell over off of something from a route that was set up, and Joe Burrow never got to it because he kind of panicked. And you do that by the tried and true Belichick thing. Figure out where they want to go on a play, take that away, bet that they're not going to get to the other thing. And usually the issues in coverage are whatever the other thing is, and Burrow wasn't getting there. I'm not like cause for concern with Gonzo. This week is going to be a very interesting matchup. I think he's going to go 1-on-1 against DK Metcalf. I am intrigued. So I can start to talk about the Seahawks angle for this.
Well, we got to do an ad before you do the Seahawks.
Okay, so I'll tease that after the break. We're going to start talking the Seahawks angle of this. Can I have one more note on the offensive line?
Of course.
Before we get to the Seattle thing. One, I think the Patriots should sign Michael Jordan to the active roster. I don't think you want to lose him. I thought he gave a very quality backup performance there. Layden Robinson, definitely inconsistent. Chukwuekorfor was just straight up pulled from the game. Was not an injury thing. So I don't feel as good about the offensive line as a whole as I did after watching the game initially. There were issues. So I don't know. Well, I don't know where that leaves us for next week, but like they were ranked, I think, like 27th by PFF or something like that. And I think it was 27th for run block and around that for pass block grade. And that feels about right to me.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I'll speak for myself. I was happy to see that they were able to be so effective.
Yeah.
But you also watched it saying like, well, they gave up a good amount of pressures, right? And they weren't always huge holes there for Ramondre. And so there's a lot of kind of things there. It's not perfect, definitely not perfect. But I do think that we're moving towards it. And I think Layden Robinson being at right guard is helpful. I think Michael Jordan being at left guard was good. Now, again, is City So better than him? Probably. And so we probably, City So, I would imagine, goes back in there.
I'm gonna have some comments on the Michael Jordan thing after the break too, because I
Yeah,
think that's a key thing.
And then we'll also see when City So can come back. He didn't practice again this week, or yet at least, and so he's certainly not playing this week. And the question is, at this point, there's serious questions about whether he'll be able to play next week too. So, that one is always that's interesting. And then left tackle is, I guess it's Vidarian Lowe. Chukwuekorfor looked awful. And so it's got to be Vidarian Lowe. And I thought I liked the way that Caden Wallace looked, but he's playing tight end. He almost never pass blocked. And so it's a little different. It's a very different scenario when you're playing tight end as opposed to left tackle, and you're mostly run blocking and not really pass blocking. So it's really not fair to Vidarian Lowe to say, well, Caden Wallace looks pretty good at tight end. It's like, well, it's a different position, right? And so, I don't know if that necessarily bodes well for his stock at left tackle, but hey, I mean, like maybe it does. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll give you the exact numbers here before we hit break. It was 20th pass block, 27th run block, according to PFF. And then according to ESPN Analytics, it was 28th pass block, 24th run block. That's what they had the Patriots, which I think probably matches the I can't disagree too much with that.
Yeah. It makes sense,
Yeah. All right. You want to get us up with the little prize picks?
Absolutely. So Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks is just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Now, in September, one Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on Prize Picks every week in September. That's only 1 yard gets you an automatic win. You're trying to get at least 2 wins. You get 1 automatically, guaranteed. Can't beat that one. All right. And you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Now, for me this week, we'll talk about it later, but for me this week, I am going Lamar Jackson with more than 56.5 rushing yards, and for Justin Herbert with more than 217.5 passing yards. I'm high on both of those. And of course, I'm adding in the Caleb Williams one because why not? That's a free win. I'll take an extra few multiples there if I can for free. So what you're going to do is you're going to download the Prize Picks app today. You're going to use the promo code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's the promo code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Look at that. Look how professional we are.
All right. Yep.
All right. Where do we want to start with this the Seahawks team? Want me to
you tell me
the scouting report?
You tell me. Yes.
All right. Well, let's start with this defense here. Visually, I will say, watching them, they hit hard. They're very fast. They're long. That stands out right away. Their new head coach is Mike McDonald. He's been the Ravens defensive coordinator the last 2 seasons. I believe, was he at Michigan? The Harbaugh is just kind of swap guys. Yeah, he was Michigan's defensive coordinator back in 2021. He was with the Ravens. He was with the Ravens from 2014 to 2020. Michigan 1 year back to the Ravens. So you think about all those Ravens defenses the Patriots have had issues with for a long time. That's Mike McDonald. He's been raised in that. Seattle plays a lot of complex coverages. They don't make it easy to figure out what they're doing pre or post snap. And they play a lot of complex things that are these combinations of man and zone. I thought it was notable that their defenders are playmakers. They seem to give a lot of freedom to their defensive backs to just trust their instincts and go after things. Last week, Love and Reek Woolen each had a pick. Both of them were kind of instinctive plays of them coming out of a coverage and just going after the ball. Rayshon Jenkins is their strong safety. He was awesome last week, flying around. He's number 2 for their defense. Tyrell Dodson is their big linebacker, wears number 0 out there. He's really good. He flies around. They only allowed 1 touchdown last week. It was at the end of the game on a quarterback scramble from Bo Nix where he got out of the pocket. They only allowed 2 possessions where the Broncos got more than 30 yards. And that was the Broncos had 15 possessions. Only twice did they get 30 yards or more the entire game.
It's crazy.
They allowed only 13 first downs. PFF said they were the best defense week 1, and they got PFF's best coverage grade week 1, which matched everything I saw. So they are elite on the back end. There's not necessarily a lot of household names here. I think Reek Woolen is a name that football fans might know at this point. Trey Brown's their other corner. It's Julian Love and Rayshon Jenkins at safety. I think the way they're playing, both of those guys are going to be household names. Safeties aren't usually household names. Those guys are going to be well known by the end of the season. And Devon Witherspoon, the only corner who was up there with Christian Gonzalez in terms of draft stock last year. He's their slot corner. He's the guy that makes it work for them. He's physical. He plays every coverage. They put him everywhere. He's, kind of just a slot and alley defender. A little bit of safety, a little bit of corner. You can do whatever you want with him.
Yeah. I mean, look, their defense is loaded. It's funny, fantasy football wise, I went all in on Seahawks defense because they started with the Broncos and the Patriots. I figured you're going against Bo Nix first in the first game, and you're going against the Patriots offense in the second game. And they played even better than I expected. And they didn't quite have the turnovers or the sack numbers, but they just completely shut down the Broncos all day long, which was great, at least from a fantasy perspective. I just think the physicality that they play with. I mean, look, I had Christian Gonzalez in my cornerback 1 last year. That was my guy. I loved Gonzalez coming out. Now, of course, my guy was Emmanuel Forbes, but only because I choose day 2 picks. He should not have been a day 1 pick. He's already playing horrendously still playing horrendously in Washington. But that's not the point. I thought if I had an early pick and I was drafting number 5 and I wanted a corner, I would have taken Christian Gonzalez. But Seattle took Witherspoon with this type of play in mind. They want to be this type of team that's physical, that plays downhill. That's what Witherspoon does well, right? He's a good cover guy too, don't get me wrong. But he is a violent hitter. That's what he wants to do, right? He wants to do that. And the rest of the team kind of follows suit, right? That he fits right in. Of course, Tariq Woolen's a huge guy. And that's the type of defense that they're going to play. And I think the Patriots have no problem playing that way because they will get physical with you and do that, but they don't quite have the players to do that, is the issue. I think the mentality from the Patriots is good, but the talent level, there's a disparity between the way they play might match up well, and the Patriots might be able to go in and, give them a little bit of physicality back, but the talent on the other side of the football is going to outweigh the talent on the Patriots side of the football. And so they're going to have to do some creative things to try to beat that offense. And look, as far as the running was concerned, as far as the more than 30 yards are concerned, the Broncos were terrible. I mean, Bo Nix is bad, right?
This is a rookie quarterback's first game,
and that's the thing, right? That's the thing, right? It's not just about Seattle because he was bad, but again, it's like, well, yeah, it's a rookie quarterback, and it's like when rookie quarterbacks used to play Belichick, right? When you play a defense that is challenging defense to play against, and it's your first game, or you're a rookie, you're going to struggle, right? And I think that it's natural to see that happen, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Jacoby Brissett struggle a little bit as well. I think they're just a really good defense.
Yeah, and I was one of my theories was that especially Week 2, early in the season. It's a 10 a.m. body clock start for Seattle this week, coming to the East Coast.
Yep.
They're playing a defense that is a radically different style than what they played last year. Really radically different than most teams in the NFL. What Mike McDonald does is it's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that's just on the cutting edge of what goes on in defensive football at this point. And I was kind of skeptical that they were going to be ready to go week 1 with a coverage that was consistently going to work. It consistently worked right out of the gate. Maybe that has to do with the way Sean Payton calls that offense and a rookie quarterback and, questionable wide receiver core for Denver outside of Cortland Sutton, who, you got Reek Woolen. Like, that's the kind of guy you want in Cortland Sutton. I thought the Seahawks have some good answers for a body type like that. So, yeah, maybe it's just a matchup thing week 1, but I thought, the secondary, all these guys knew what they were doing. They were excellent. I was just watching, all the 3rd and long plays. And every single one is a different coverage. And there weren't even a lot of blitzes. Mike McDonald is known for his exotic blitzes with Baltimore. They barely tapped into that package last week, which means we're probably going to get some new stuff on that front this week.
Thank you.
They're going to have to be prepared for that. Up front, I think there's 2 main names you want to know. Number 1, though, is Leonard Williams, the defensive tackle, number 99. He was a game wrecker last week. Pass rush win rate of 30%, which is crazy high for a defensive tackle. Yeah. And that's with getting double teamed more than half the time. One of the matches I wanted to highlight here actually is I'm going to assume, well, I don't know who they're going to, he plays all over the line of scrimmage. They'll put him at defensive end, put him over the center. They'll put him anywhere, especially on passing downs. Michael Jordan, according to ESPN, had 100% pass block win rate last week. He's a big dude. He played well. I also suspect I'm assuming they're going to promote him again for that left guard spot. If City So's not ready to go, then since he's the practice squad guy, I'm going to assume that is where they're going to start with Leonard Williams, trying to get a one-on-one matchup. That's going to be the thing to watch. Can they find a way to block him? Layden Robinson, very good. Really good flashes last week against the run. He had an abysmal PFF grade as a pass blocker in the teens low. And you could kind of see it on tape. He's hit or miss. He makes mental errors.
Yeah.
He's every error you can make as an offensive lineman, I think he made pass blocking last week. So I think he's also going to see a heavy dose of Leonard Williams. If you're getting that pressure up the middle against somebody like Jacoby Brissett, I can ruin your afternoon real quick.
Yeah.
And then the other name known as Boye Mafe is the name people really liked in the draft coming out. 53 in that defense. He had 9 pressures in the opener.
It's wild.
He's
outrageous amount of pressures.
Yeah, he's their designated pass rusher. And it's, Leonard Williams is going to get double teamed. We're going to put Mafe on the same side, and he's going to get a one-on-one and probably win it. So that is a big key against this Seattle defense is going to be staying ahead of the chains because they look coordinated and ready to wreck you, and you can't make it easier for them. If you're in 3rd and 3, you've got a chance. If you're in 3rd and 9, you're going to be counting. You're going to be counting on Jalen Polk making contested catches and KJ Osborne finding holes in the zone. I think all day long, which is not fun.
That's not what you want to be relying on. I thought Byron Murphy looked okay too. The rookie for out of Texas, D tackle. So I liked Murphy quite a bit coming out. I was happy to see that he looked pretty good in week 1 against Denver. So we'll see. This is that kind of first real test. I know, obviously you were playing against the Bengals and everyone expected the Bengals to be better. But people forget too, the Bengals are terrible at the beginning of the year. They just always have been. I think Joe Burrow was down 1-6 or something like that in his first in the first 2 games of his career. And so this is what they do every year. And they're getting ready to go. Also, it's so funny because TD and Nagan are fighting in the
I've been monitoring that out of the corner of my eye.
Who hates the Patriots more? But TD says we have the cheapest owner in the history of any sport, and that is just absolutely insane to say when the Bengals exist. You can't say something like that when the Bengals exist. They are the cheapest team I've ever seen in my entire life. They're going to let the Jamar Chase go. It's going to end very poorly over there. It's just a complete disaster.
We'll see.
So, anyways,
we'll see how that goes.
And so offensively, I think defensively for the Patriots, if we want to just switch over to the defensive side for a second, I think, the Broncos. Oh, okay. He meant the Bengals. Okay. All right. Well, okay. So then there he goes. So then he's right. So, so the Broncos had two, not one, but two safeties yesterday. It's just insane. That just doesn't happen. And so for the Seahawks to have allowed two safeties in the same game is just really bad, like really bad. And I didn't watch the whole film, so I don't know exactly. But I can't imagine their offensive line played very well. And so it's one of those things where, the Patriots defensive line, who looked good against the Bengals, have an opportunity to wreck some stuff again.
So this is one of the interesting things I noted was that so Seattle's offensive line ranked 22nd week 1. I'm just using PFF grades for now. It was a nice, easy way to do this, which it doesn't take into account strength of opponent at all.
Right.
They're 22nd as a pass blocking unit. It does say they were the 4th best run blocking unit. I'm not 100% sure if I agree with that, but I did not get as deep into their offense as I did into their defense.
Yeah.
The Patriots were PFF 8th as a pass rushing unit, 21st against the run, which I thought was interesting. That's not the only spot where they weren't rated very highly. ESPN has them 31st in the NFL in run block win rate, or run stuff win rate.
So that seems really. They had one really, really bad drive. Beyond that, I thought they were pretty good against the run.
And I thought that drive had a lot more to do with like specific alignment things than players messing up. It was like, running against light boxes or situations where the Patriots just like one of the big runs they gave up. The Patriots didn't have a single defender in the A gap or the B gap on the same side of the offensive line. They were clearly playing against some tendency they thought the Bengals had, and Bengals just ran it right into that gap and picked up a big gain. That's football. That happens sometimes. So I'm not 100% sure I agree with this grade. And the flip side is that they had one of the best tackling grades in the whole NFL week 1. So that like they let guys get through the line. Or at least didn't do very well winning block on the line of scrimmage, but it didn't really matter because they would wrap it up immediately at the second level.
I saw Taylor tweeted out that the Patriots had a 5% missed tackle percentage, and no one in the NFL had lower than 10%. And so they were just, not only were they great, they were far superior to everyone else.
Yeah. So I think one of the big storylines for me this week when Seattle has the ball, Kenneth Walker, a running back, last week, 103 yards on 20 carries and a touchdown. He is physical. If you want to have some fun, just go watch Kenneth Walker's runs from last week. Yeah. There's a play. He's wrapped up in the backfield, and someone from the Broncos comes at him full speed, and he ducks his head, and the defender goes over the top of him, like fully, like a wrestling move, like he just launches him over his back. And just like he's very physical, he's very, very hard to bring down. You have to finish your tackles. That said, Kenneth Walker did not practice today. He's on the injury report for Seattle. The other thing here, their usual starting tackle, they've got Charles Cross and Abe Lucas as their 2 tackles. Abe Lucas is on the PUP list right now, so he's not playing to start the year. They have George Fant as the backup. He got injured midway through the opener, and he is not at practice today as well. Those are 2 key pieces of this Seattle offense. Fant's their right tackle. So the status of that offensive line running situation for the Seahawks is something to watch. Like Charbonnet is a good player for them as the backup running back. He's not going to be anything special. I'm not really that worried about him in the game plan. Backup right tackle for Seattle is Stone Forsythe, 6th round pick from 2021. He's not a great player or anything. So the Patriots, I think the defense is going to have opportunities to make some plays here.
And I think this is what's going to happen, right? And it's funny because you talked about, just jumping back to the offense for a second, because I had forgot to mention this, but you talked about how in the Bengals game, they would put no one on one side and then run to that side and rely on Ramondre to break that first tackle with the defender because he was lined up against the corner. And Ramondre's a very good running back, but the Seahawks have the ability to not allow that to happen because they have physical guys at corner that aren't afraid to tackle guys one-on-one. And I still think Ramondre can break some of those tackles, but to rely on him to do that, I think you really can't do that. And so that becomes interesting because now you're like, okay, we got to find a different way to do this. So, but I think you're going to have to win. If you win, you're going to have to win defensively. You're going to have to win defensively.
Got to forcing turnovers.
Absolutely.
And Bo Nix, both of his picks were late throws where he read things slow and gets the ball out at the wrong time to the wrong guy. Brissett just can't do that. I think you're against this defense. I think you are totally okay taking just check down after check down. It's just Seattle tackles well. So you're going to try to break some tackles and mitigate the negative plays in this one because the defense is opportunistic in every sense of it. Yeah. Going back to Seattle's offense real quick, Kenneth Walker, he had week 1, he had a 64% success rate against light boxes, so like 6 people in the box, which I think has a lot to do with how hard he is to bring down. He's big, he's physical, and he has good feet. So if you let him get to the outside, he can turn the corner on you. So I think that the strategy here, it's weird against a team that has 3 receivers in Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, with their offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, who's the coordinator at Washington last year, a team that went to the national championship off of their passing game. It's weird to have all of this. And I almost think the thing you're worried about is the running game, because I think you have to put enough bodies out there to stop the run, and you have to find a way to still stop the pass out of those situations.
Yeah.
Which that's where. Yeah.
I gotta ask you. Yeah. What's the deal with JSN? Like, I feel like he should be really good, and I feel like he is really good, but then the numbers are just never there. Like, did he crack 100 yards at all last year? Like, I don't think he did in any games. He may have, but like, if he did, it was once or twice, very rarely. It just seems like he puts up a lot of like 2 or 3 or 4 receptions for like 28 yards or something like that. And I don't, you know what I mean? I don't see it.
2 for 19
last
week. That's it.
It just seems strange to me because I'm like, this guy was incredible at Ohio State, like the best receiver in the league at Ohio State. And not even close, like by far the best receiver in the league in college football last year. And I don't know if it's a speed thing. I don't know if it's a system thing. I have no idea, but I just, stats wise, and again, that's why I'm asking you, because stats wise, I'm like, I have yet to see it from him.
It's weird because you look at this trio of receivers too, and in theory, it works really well. DK Metcalf is your big physical X receiver. Tyler Lockett is your Z, who is still very physical for a player of his size, but who wins against man coverage. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba is your kind of possession slot guy who's very good against zone. Like, that's the way this should work. And that's like, you look at what Washington did last year. Yeah, DK Metcalf's room with Dunze. Tyler Lockett is, I guess, your Jalen Polk, and that Jackson Smith and Jigba is your Jalen McMillan, or you can swap the 2 of those if you want. Like, it makes sense in the Washington receiver roles, but it didn't really look that way week 1. Which
maybe it will moving forward, but
and a small sample size could be part of it. Pat Surtain is the top corner for the Broncos. He basically, shut down DK Metcalf, so the entire passing offense was going through Tyler Lockett. Lockett had 7 targets, 6 catches for 77 yards. The leading receiver hit 2 50-50 balls and brought in both of them. Almost 4 yards a route run for him versus Metcalf, 29 yards on 3 catches, 4 targets. Surtain was on him almost every single time he was out there. So, like, I think you look at the way the Patriots are going to match up this week. I think you're probably going to see Gonzalez follow DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett plays outside for them. I think you probably see Jonathan Jones. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, 90% of his snaps are in the slot.
Yeah.
You put – I look at this and what I think, especially like Geno was scrambling last week and the running game was good for Seattle. And I almost wonder if maybe you play a little bit less man coverage and a little bit more zone and keep things in front of you. That will mean that you're going to have a safety probably on Jackson Smith and Jigba, which I think I like. Somebody with some physicality, and maybe you put Marcus Jones back at free safety the way they were doing last week. And you just have Jonathan Jones and Christian Gonzalez, on the outsides playing some of this zone stuff against these guys. I don't know, but these receivers should threaten you. They had the 7th highest PFF grade as a group in week 1, and yet nothing. And Ryan Grubb is supposed to be a good offensive coordinator, and yet there was nothing on the game that really stood out to me about them, except that Tyler Lockett made some really nice plays.
Tyler Lockett's a beast. He's just so good.
Yeah, very good.
Veteran, savvy, just everything. He's great. He's a guy that I'd love to have. He's like a receiver that you just love to have on your team because he's not a diva. He's not flashy. He just gets open and catches the ball. Like that's what he does.
He's fun. And I think when Seattle passes the ball, if there's a lot of man cover, or especially in big situations, it's probably just going to be like, can Tyler Lockett do it again against Jonathan Jones this week, kind of making plays at the catch point and moving the chains for him. So like Geno Smith really didn't stand out to me. Like nothing about this. The Seattle offense is weird because I was trying to figure out what they're doing this year, and it was just nothing. There's a little bit of everything. I think they're still figuring out who they are. This is another matchup to me that's interesting. Is that like you got a rookie offensive coordinator at the NFL level, and DeMarcus Covington's a rookie defensive coordinator, but this Patriots defensive staff is not an inexperienced staff. They're going to put together an NFL game plan. Can you fool him? Geno Smith is a guy who likes to take chances. Can you fool him? And I think, like I was saying before, the only way you can get to those situations is if you pay your bills on early downs and stop the run and don't let Kenneth Walker take over. Yeah. So how they balance those priorities, I'm very curious to see this week.
Good question. Good question. Ultimately, I think is probably going to decide the game. So
yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else, or do you want to do your ad read and we'll do our Go ahead.
One final note: Patriots were number 2 in the NFL in PFF special teams grade.
Let's go.
Week 1. Seahawks were number 3.
Yep.
I will say, in some ways, the Seahawks kind of seem like a team that might, at least defensively, might be tailor-made to beat New England. I think the best aspect of the Patriots offense week 1, other than Ramondre Stevenson, was the receivers that they were open on tape. The quarterback's just not getting them there, and that wasn't really the big part of the game plan. You're going against a team that is really, really good in coverage with I think, the body types to stop what you want to do on the outside. They have an interior pass rusher who is really good, who can, that's the one weakness of their guards right now, especially Layden Robinson, is having a pass rusher like that on the inside, which I think is tough. You have to, and they're opportunistic.
You can't give them help.
Like it. And if I don't know, Jacoby could throw a pick in this game very easily, the way Seattle defense plays and how opportunistic they are, and they tackle well. So you're not gonna. I don't know if it's Devin Witherspoon, who Ramondre is one-on-one with in that same situation. I don't know if that's going to be something that he wins the way he did last week. So this is, I think, a tough matchup there. Now, when Seattle has the ball, I have no idea how this is going to go. To me, I think the Patriots are really going to struggle to score. But I think if they keep a clean sheet, keep it to no sacks, maybe 1, no turnovers. Your defense can keep you in it, and you're going to have a chance. But it's Seattle special teams plays well. So that mitigates one of the strengths of New England last week too. And it might just it might be one of those games where it's, 17-6 is your final score. Seattle wins, and you feel really good about how the defense plays, but the offense just never gets into gear. And
certainly could happen. So listen, if you can stop the Patriots running attack, you can stop the Patriots offense. You know what I mean? And so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
One note on that also. Seattle's defense wasn't very good up the middle last year at stopping the run, and when the Patriots did run up the middle last week. They were pretty good at it. Cincinnati one of the reasons that the Patriots did get all those runs with Ramondre 1-on-1 against a DB was because they were selling out against the inside run. Every time the Patriots were running the ball out of those looks, every Bengals defender was diving to the inside trying to penetrate.
Right.
I don't know if Seattle's going to do that this week. I'm curious to see how they handle that. Maybe they just dive inside too because they have defensive backs that can tackle and they're okay with living with those opportunities. But you're going to be, if you want to win this game and you're looking for the offense to move the ball, you're going to be counting on staying ahead of the chains and then forcing some kind of a coverage bust from the Seahawks where they're trying something new and they don't execute it, or they bring a blitz that we didn't see last week and you get the right play call against it.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
We'll see. Should be interesting. So, all right, why don't you do your ad read and then we'll do our picks for the week and our prize pick stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm jumping up to the big screen here to talk about game time. It is the Patriots home opener. Maybe you want to go. Maybe you want to go see this in person. I've been to Patriots home openers before. They are a lot of fun. It's a great environment. You get to be around all the fans. First time this season, where again they get to see what this offense, what this new coaching staff, what everything looks like at Gillette Stadium. And now with game picks, going to do this, or is it not game picks? Game time. Game time picks. It's easier than ever before to find the best tickets because the game time picks, one of the things in their app, filters out the fluff. You're only going to see the good deals when you first open this app and you're looking at tickets. You don't have to go through section by section trying to find them what's perfect. Just going to show you the good deals right off the top so you know exactly where you can buy tickets to go see your beloved New England Patriots in person. They also have views from your seat. So when you do find that valuable seat, you can look at it and make sure that is the view that you're looking for. You can use all-in pricing. So when you're looking through the app, you're going to know exactly how much you're going to pay. There's no fees or anything. What the number you see is the number you pay once you click that all-in pricing button. And it just makes it nice and easy. Everybody hates those surprise fees at the end. So the super deals on this app, it's fantastic. I mean, I've used it before. I went to a Red Sox game recently and looking at that Patriots-Jets game in week 3 with Game Time. So, definitely do it. It takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Alrighty. Do we want to take a look at our picks from last week?
Let's do it.
All right. So, these are the teams, the two of us picked to win our 5 games last week. So you can see I've highlighted the ones we got right and wrong there.
Yeah.
We're each 4-1. So your one loss was Jets at Niners on Monday Night Football. How do you feel about that?
Just so stupid. So stupid about that. I just was being different. To be honest with you, I wanted to be different, and I was like, yeah, I'll go with the Jets. Why not? And it did not pay off. A friend of mine had teased the Jets line all the way up to minus, I think it was 15.5 for Seattle, for San Fran. And so he had it covered. And then that last touchdown, he lost it. And he was just like, 12 seconds left. All the backups are in. Just an absolute nightmare scenario. And so that was not great. Not great for him. And honestly, it just like, I was, as soon as the game started, I was like, Jesus, what was I thinking, dude? Go with the Jets. It was so bad. So
I barely watched any of
right about the Steelers though.
Yeah, I barely watched any of that Steelers Falcons game. I might throw that game. I like to NFL Plus has like the condensed game watch where you can just watch a game in like 30 or 40 minutes. They just cut out all the stuff between the plays. Yeah. I might watch that Steelers Falcons game in that way, tomorrow or Friday to see what happened.
Listen, what did I tell you? I told you what happened. You don't have to watch. I told you what was going to happen. It was a game that made absolutely no sense. The Steelers should have never been able to win the game, and they did because that's what the Steelers do: is they win games that make absolutely no sense. They didn't score a touchdown. Justin Fields was terrible, and somehow they kick 6 field goals and win 18-10 or whatever the hell the score is. It's just like, it's ridiculous. You know, what's funny is that the Seattle game was similar to that. The Seattle game at one point, I think, was what, 10-6, but no one had scored a touchdown because
10-9.
Oh, 10-9. That's what it was. It was 10-9, but no one has scored a touchdown. And it was, because they had the 2 safeties that made the 4 points plus the 6. It was just like, what in the world is happening right now? And so, the Steelers, similar situation where they just like, it made no sense. But because it made no sense, it actually made all the sense in the world.
Yeah. All right. Should we do our week 2 picks?
Let's do it.
All right. Here's the board for week 2. Pat and I each 4-1 at this point. Thursday night game. Bills at Dolphins. Little AFC East. First divisional game of the year right there. 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Browns, Jaguars. 4 o'clock game. Bengals at Chiefs. Sunday night game. Bears at Texans. And Monday night game. Falcons at Eagles. I will say, because I was looking at whatever the premier games are in a lot of these windows, I think the first 2 games here are really interesting and should be close games. The other 3 might be complete and total blowouts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, the way things went week 1 at least. Pat, we'll start you off. First game here, Bills, Dolphins. Who you got?
I'm going Dolphins. I know it's a night game, so they don't have the sun on their side. But I just think at home, Bills had a great win. Week 1, they didn't look great for a lot of that game. Came back and won. Dolphins, kind of same thing. My entire fantasy season relies on Travis Etienne being really good, and he was walking in for his second touchdown. And Javon Hall made a great play and stripped him with the ball. And the very next play, Tyreek Hill went for 80 yards and a touchdown. And that's what Miami can do to you if you're not smart with the ball. Josh Allen, famously not smart with the ball. And so I think that this can be one of those games where a Josh Allen turnover, a bad Josh Allen play leads to a big Dolphins touchdown. And all of a sudden, the Bills are trailing for, at whatever. And I think they hold on and win.
Yeah. I've got the Bills in this one. I don't really have any reason. This to me, it's just a Josh Allen is better than Tua pick. Both of these teams had very strange week 1s. So I'm just kind of throwing that out, ignoring that.
Yeah.
I just think the Bills are the better team here. And I don't know. It is a weird matchup. But I don't know. Bills won this game last year, I'm pretty sure, right at the end of the season.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, with Tua throwing a pick late. I think until I see and I still don't trust Tua. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Browns and Jaguars.
So I'm going Jags. The Browns just stink. I don't know. At this point, how could you ever pick Deshaun Watson to win anything, even if you think he might? I'm just going to pick him to lose anyways because I hate that guy. And they're just not a good team. They're not a good team. And so old man Ma was asking about Amari Cooper and if he'd be a better fit in the AVP offense than T. Higgins. It's an interesting question. Now he's older than T. Higgins, of course, but it's an interesting question. And if the Browns are crappy midway through the year and they're willing to move, Amari Cooper for something and it's not too much, I would definitely strongly consider that. But yeah. I think the Browns right now just aren't that good. And the Jaguars are the Jaguars, so they're weird and they're just like, I don't know. They're not a real team. They're just a weird team. And so, but I do think that they win this game.
Yeah. I also have the Jaguars here. A lot of the same things. I'm not going to root for the Browns. Really bad vibes over there. And the Jaguars, things got weird with the Jaguars last week when I think we saw some of the best football Trevor Lawrence has ever played. He made some really, really nice throws in that game.
Sure
so
that Brian Thomas touchdown was outrageous.
Unbelievable.
Outrageous throw.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I'm going to go that way. Again, this is another one of those picks where I'm trusting that one of these quarterbacks is significantly better than the other one and letting that guide me.
Yeah.
Bengals at Chiefs. Obviously, this has turned into a little bit of a rivalry. Bengals trying to avoid starting the year 0-2, heading out to Arrowhead. Do they avoid that, Pat?
I mean, I think you have to be insane to pick the Bengals. I think you'd have to be completely certifiably insane. The way they looked against the Patriots last week. And listen, they're not going to look as bad as they looked against the Patriots last week. I agree with. That I will admit and say that makes sense.
Mhm.
I still think that they're not a very good, that they're an okay team, but they're not a great team. And the Chiefs, flat out, they just win games. The Chiefs just win. The Chiefs are the Patriots, right? That's what they
Yeah.
are. And it doesn't matter what you do and what you bring. It doesn't. You're at home against the Bengals. You're still salty about it. You still don't like the Bengals. Chiefs win this game.
Yeah, I am right there with you. I think this Bengals defense against this Chiefs offense is a mismatch. If what we saw last week happens again,
Oh, forget it. They're going to lose by 30.
yeah, this team won't be close if the Bengals show up and play the way they did. And it also, the way Joe Burrow is reading the field, if he's seeing it that way against the Chiefs defense, the way they cover, no, they're not going to move the ball. Obviously, we've seen them go out there and win before. I don't think Joe Burrow is as bad as he looked on Sunday, and I think they're probably due to bounce back. They probably do play much better than we saw on Sunday, but still, they can play much better and have it not result in a win.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Sunday Night
All right.
Football.
Yeah.
Bears at Texans.
2-1-0 teams, baby. But the Bears, I just defensively, I just don't know how they can do what they did last week again. It's funny that the Bears are opening with back-to-back games against the AFC South. It's just weird. It's just a weird scheduling thing. But CJ Stroud is not going to make the mistakes that Will Levis made. Just he's not going to do it. And so without that, I just don't know. And by the way, I think the Texans defense is better than the Titans defense by a pretty good margin. Maybe not by that big of a margin, but by a little bit of a margin at least. I just think that there's no way the Texans lose this game at home against the Bears. Caleb Williams maybe this time will throw for over 100 yards. I'm so high on him, but man, it was not pretty. Again, first game of his career, he'll get there. But I think at least he'll get there. But didn't look great. Week 1, I'm going Texans.
Yeah, I am there with you. I don't think we get a repeat performance from this Bears defense and special teams. I think Caleb looks better. That's not better enough to turn into, a win. The Bears are fighting to maybe be a playoff team. The Texans are fighting to win a championship this year. These two teams are on different tiers.
That's correct.
This is it's great for the NFL to have these two quarterbacks against one another in prime time. But I think this game might just get ugly. And I do think a world where the Bears do win this game, it's going to be a very, very ugly looking win. We're going to be talking during the show Sunday night about, first half and it's 6-6. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Monday Night Football. The immobile Kirk Cousins heads to Lincoln Financial Field. The Eagles home opener here. Does he go into the link and get a win?
Can you imagine, just for a second, just imagine the complete insanity it would take for me to pick the Steelers to beat the Falcons and then the next week pick the Falcons to beat the Eagles on the road? That would be complete insanity. I would be like certifiably insane. So yes, it's the Eagles. They should win by 2 touchdowns. This game should not be close at any point. To me, and I think Cousins will be okay. I think, you saw that same type of thing from Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes that stuff is mental. You got to move a little bit because, it's not okay. You tear your ACL, right? And you worry about the hits, and you worry about the, hitting your knee in a certain way and things like that. When you tear your Achilles, you're just like stepping, you're just running, you're just and quarterbacks are going to plant that back foot and throw off it quick. That's the stuff that's how you did it in the first place, right? And so those are the mental obstacles you have to get over, not your first hit. You have to get over those mental obstacles. So I think Cousins will be okay, and I think Rodgers will be okay as well. It just might take them a few weeks to get their feet under them. And in the meantime, I think the Falcons are going to get smoked this week.
Yeah. Once again, am in agreement with you. This is a pretty boring
Sure is.
slate here.
Sure is.
Not a lot of. It's a very weird week 2 schedule, I think, in the NFL. Yeah, some not super exciting primetime games. I'll tell you that much. I think Bills Dolphins probably the best primetime game of the week. Not probably, it is.
Not even close. Yeah, I would say it's definitely the best primetime game of the week. And again, that might end up being a blowout too. Who knows? I don't think that happens necessarily. Obviously, I picked the Dolphins to win, but I could certainly see the Bills kind of getting up and then running away with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to do our?
Yeah, let's do our prize pick stuff, and then we'll get the heck out of here. We've already been going for almost an hour and a half. So.
Yeah. Want me to rip it off real quick with mine?
Do it.
My 2 prize picks of the week for week 2. Number 1. Well, we're going with two guys on the road here. First one, wide receiver Mike Evans. He's going to have more than 70.5 receiving yards at Detroit.
Okay.
Lions secondary's got a lot of young guys in it. Mike Evans is a veteran. He's going to target him a lot. I like Mike Evans in this one. Number 2, running back Jamal Williams. More than 20.5 rush yards at Dallas. It's a Cowboys defense that I think had some issues week 1, and that was one of the areas where the Saints beat up on the the Panthers there week 1. Yeah. So let's take that one. Those are my 2 picks.
That's good. I like that. I like those 2. Yeah. Those are 2 solid picks. I am going to go. I'm going to give you 3. So I read it. I did read it in the ad, but for those of you that didn't hear it, I'm going Lamar Jackson at home against Vegas with more than 56.5 rushing yards. And then I'm going Justin Herbert also at home against Carolina for more than 217.5 passing yards. Carolina is so bad. I know they want to run the ball, but Carolina is so bad. And then again, if you're doing this, guys, I'm telling you, if you're on Prize Picks and you're doing this, put Caleb Williams in there because it's 0.5 passing yards. Like, it's a free square. It's a free square. And so then that ups the percentage that you can win, ups the number that you can win. And so I believe the max that you can put on that Caleb Williams is 25. So like I do $5. I typically do $5 ones, and so I can do up to 5 of them with Caleb Williams in it. So just an FYI for you if you're out there doing that. So
very nice. Yeah. We want to wrap up with anything? I saw there was let me find the comment. I want to start.
Oh, the Seahawks and Patriots throwbacks. Oh, goodness.
Yes, Burley Sullivan here, if you're still in the chat, it says, I need Seahawks versus Pats, both in throwback unis. That would be fantastic. The Seahawks throwbacks are some of my favorite. I think I don't mind what Seattle wears currently, but I think the throwbacks are just so nice. At least something inspired by that. I'd love to see them go to. I love that bright royal blue. On the Patriots in red. Like, you could forget somebody wearing white. You could just do red versus blue.
100%.
If you wanted to, and that would look good.
Yeah.
What we're actually going to get, the Seahawks are wearing their blue pants this week. So it's going to be the Seahawks with blue helmets, white jerseys, blue pants, blue socks against the Patriots in silver helmets with blue jerseys, blue pants, and blue socks. It's going to be a ton of navy blue versus navy blue. Yeah. Which I will say, like, a home 1 o'clock game like this where it's going to be like 80 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when the Patriots used to do like white at home for the opener. They did that like 08? Is it 08 against the Chiefs? They did it in 2010 against the Bengals. I don't think we've seen it since then. This is one of those where I wouldn't hate if they came out and did that, especially because this is the 10-year anniversary of when they beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and they wore the white jerseys for that game. This would actually be a really appropriate occasion for it, but they're not gonna do that.
Yeah. It's it's one of those things, man. It's tough.
Yeah. But minor things.
Also, Bone asked a question about why can the Patriots wear the throwback 80s away uniform with white top and red pants. I think, and I might be wrong about this. Well, and I guess it doesn't really matter, but the home team is the team that gets to choose what they want to wear, right? And they don't have to announce that too far ahead of time, do they?
I don't know when they actually have to announce. I think he's asking, though, in general, not just for this week.
Oh, right.
But like,
Yeah.
oh, why don't they? I don't think there's a rule against it. You're allowed to have up to 4 sets in the NFL. Like
Right.
the Dolphins haven't worn both throwbacks in a while, but like they have 2 throwbacks. They have the home throw, like the aqua throwback, and they have the white throwback.
Right.
I think the Patriots could do that if they wanted. They just don't want to for whatever reason it is. I'd love to see the red pants come back. I think those are so cool.
Yeah. I also
I'd
just think
love
too, like the blue from those mid '90s Patriots teams, with Willie McGinnis and Curtis Martin and Drew Bledsoe, like those blue with the italics with the shadow lettering, man, those were so sweet.
those
So sweet.
those are fun. But I do actually have one thing to bring up that I saw right before the show. Shout out to Boris Sports on Twitter
Okay.
for clipping this. It was Evan Washburn on CBS talking about things that he learned about the Patriots this week. Drake May is taking 30% of the first team reps in practice.
Yep.
That is a very high number for somebody
is.
who is not the starter. And he's doing a scout team. And apparently, I don't know how normal this is for a scout team, but they're not telling him what kinds of defenses he's going to be going against. So he is going to be out there running plays that New England's opponents run against New England's starting defense, playing as hard as they can with a game plan, trying to stop this stuff as they're learning.
Yeah.
That is great preparation. That's
is.
fantastic preparation. I'm going to say this. I'll go on the record and say this. If he's doing 30% and they like what he's seeing, I think we should see him soon. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is bad. I think there is enough stability with New England already, and I think there especially will be in a couple of weeks, that I do not have an issue with throwing a rookie quarterback out there. He has the deep throw ability, and there's some of that on tape week 1 where they could go for aggressive throws and they're settling for underneath stuff, and that's who Jacoby Brissett is right now.
That's a great point. It's a great point.
Drake May has that thought. He'll go for it. And I think, again, a lot of this is contingent on them thinking he's mentally ready. If they're seeing him in practice and they know he's not ready to go, do not play him. That is number 1. If they think he's good enough right now, though, like I'm totally fine with him putting him out there.
I agree with you. I agree with you, and I think that makes a ton of sense. And I did see that too about the 30%, and I think that makes what they're able to do is give him those reps, those mental reps, put it on film, and then re-watch it and coach him up on it, but do it in a way that nobody else is seeing it. It's a controlled environment. You're in practice. Maybe you look like crap from time to time. You're a rookie quarterback. That makes sense that you're going to look like crap from time to time, especially when you're running plays that aren't even yours, right? But you're able to do it in a controlled environment and say, hey, you missed this over here, or you missed that over here. Your drop didn't look right, or you should have saw this happen in the pocket, or this guy breaks open and you should have seen it, or whatever it is. You're able to control that and work on it with him together. And again, because you film it all, you're putting it all on film so you can see it all. Yeah. I think it's a fantastic idea. It's a great way to do it. And honestly, as much as we care about winning football games right now, and we do, the team does. We saw that on Sunday, right? They care. Ultimately, this year is about next year and the year after that. That's ultimately what it's about. And doing this with Drake May shows that. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it takes anything away. I don't think the team will be upset with it. I think it makes sense because this year is about getting Drake ready to be the guy.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, agreed. Jay Fizzle with a comment here. We'll address this real quick before the end. He asked a question: what's ultimately holding back the receiving core from breaking out? Speed, route running, experience. Do they just need another game or two? I have kind of a longer answer to this, which is I think all of that. It depends on which receiver we're talking about. I think Jalen Polk to me is somebody who needs to improve route running, but could have, step 1 of a breakout next week if they decide to throw at him more. Tyquan Thornton is a guy who I think could, but the next couple of weeks are rough for him. Seattle does everything they can to take away deep threats. He might be seeing a lot of Sauce Gardner or DJ Reed when you go to New York. I like Tyquan Thornton relative to expectations. He's
Yeah,
not.
but not like that.
He's going to struggle there. 49ers corners looked good.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it might be a couple weeks before you're really seeing them target him as a deep threat. Pop Douglas, that was open on tape last week. He's ready for a breakout to a degree whenever he gets targeted. And then I do think speed is kind of the concern after that. Like, KJ Osborne's not a deep threat, so he's got the experience, but if he's going to be out there, like, he's just going to be fun.
Right. And I think that's what it comes down to ultimately is like, they all have their flaws. Yeah. But, and Bone pointed this out too. Like, it was a very conservative game plan last Sunday. Mm-hmm. You really weren't. And not only was it a conservative game plan, but when Brissett had opportunities to push the ball down the field and had guys open, he didn't do it. Right. There were times when Polk got open down the field, got a step on his guy. I think twice he had his guy beat, and he just didn't throw it to him. And so, those are things that, again, they're on tape now. You can go back and look at it and say, okay, I gotta find him next time. But I think I was encouraged by the win rate, and I was encouraged by some of those things. But, we also can't sit here and pretend like the Patriots have a top 10 receiving core in the NFL, right? Like, It might not look great, but like there's certainly, it could look competent, I think. And I think that's honestly, if it looks competent, like, I feel like that's a step forward,
Yeah. And it's, I've cited like PFF a lot on here. I don't think they're gospel, but I do think it's a good rough estimate of where the team is. Their receivers were 18th in the NFL in week 1 by PFF grade, which I think is fair. That's a step up from where they have been. I will also mention other receivers that we didn't talk about there. Why is Kayshon Boutte? Like, is he ready for a breakout? For him, consistency is a big thing. Mm-hmm. He's not a high-end speed guy, so he's going to win with experience, savvy, route running, and improving his hands. And I think all of that counts for Javon Baker, but he's a guy who does have the speed. He just needs to be more professional, I think, is the way to describe that.
I'm worried if he'll ever get there, but that's a whole nother story for a whole other day.
And he needs to be more consistent of a player. We saw the highlights in the preseason. We saw the lowlights. So, he's a healthy scratch for a reason. I don't think he's ready to contribute against the NFL defense. You would hope that by, at least the midpoint of the season, hopefully earlier, he can take enough steps that they feel comfortable putting him out there. Now, between now and then, Kendrick Bourne is going to come back, and we'll see how that.
Yep.
And that's I think the big thing with this whole question is that they're going to have Kendrick Bourne. He's going to play a lot when he's back.
Mm-hmm.
Polk is going to get reps. Pop Douglas is going to be their slot guy. Tyquan Thornton has speed. He's going to see the field. They don't throw the ball a lot. So, like, I don't know how much of an opportunity there is to break out for any one of these players because I think there's going to be a rotation. I think you're going to see a veteran like Bourne probably get most of the reps when he's back. And the breakout, I think, is going to be a slow thing where you're going to see it more with, like, consistency and, like, oh, it's week 14 and May is in there at that point, and he's willing to chuck it deep. So some of these things turn into plays that we weren't happening before. I think quarterback play is also a part of this.
It's a good point. Yeah. So, we'll see. So it's a long answer to a good question. Thank you for asking it. But I think it was certainly worth talking about. So, all right, that's gonna do it for us. Thank you everyone for listening, for tuning in. We appreciate it. We're gonna be back Sunday. It is a home game, which means we'll be live in between or at halftime of the Sunday Night Football game on Sunday. So come back to us then, and we will talk about the week 2 game against the Seahawks, and we'll see if I'll have to continue showering with all cold showers or if I can go back to hot showers again. We'll see.
A lot.
Not rooting for the Patriots to lose, but I'm just saying it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to not have to do cold showers again. And then I can't possibly root for them to lose against the Jets. So now you're talking about a whole nother 2 weeks.
Just cold showers.
Non-stop cold showers. We'll see what happens.
Hey, it works for Gerard Mayo. Maybe it's going to bring out something else in your teaching.
Never know.
You never know. You're going to go into that classroom with a focus we've never seen before.
That is right, baby. So, but all right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll talk to you on Sunday.